Hey guys, I just was getting some stuff out of the trunk of my car and I ran across a book that seemed to be kind of interesting and fitting for some of the times that we're going through with all of these ideology clashing things. And we're seeing a lot of kiddie pedophilia and parents being okay with their kids being used as bargaining chips or collateral damage just to improve their own financial standing or social standing. That being said, just as it took me a while to realize for myself that there's more than one type of Jew. This whole lie about the Jew and how the Nazis, were exterminating all Jewish people and all these lies that we've been told throughout school, and sort of this untouchable class of Judaism, and even having a lot of Judaism in my family, I still never even really understood that much about it. I know that as both Orthodox and unorthodox Judaists, that we have the same sort of issues with corruption and crime that infiltrate our synagogues and our temples, and our Kabbalistic centers and practices and teachings, and these really profound, meaningful, and monumental, movemental establishments, these almost untouchable foundational systems and infrastructures, to get judged so harshly just from what we're told and what we're fed through the media and through subconscious programming and lingo and what's accepted, what's not accepted, what people can say and get away with and what they can't. And by no means do I want to say that there is some sort of war going on right now between Jews, between Kabbalistic and Orthodox Jews and Catholics, and the quote Illuminati or whatever. And I know that the Illuminati is heavily embedded in Hollywood, and just as much as Scientology is, and as well as Kabbalah, and as I explored Freemasonry and tried looking up my roots as to what my connections to all these organizations, all of these projects, all of these initiatives, I didn't even do as much research as I could have done. It's almost like a lot of this research really found me, and some of it found me in some really strange ways. And the ways that it found me put me into some interesting predicaments. But for a long time, I've been kind of rebelling against the Illuminati and the Catholic Church. And just one of the things I wanted to say is that we should all know by now that the Illuminati and the Freemasonry Brotherhood and all of its chapters, all of its degrees and levels and all of that sort of thing. You know, some of us thought that the 33rd degree was the highest, you know, that any of that stuff could ever go to. And little and behold, it took till coronavirus in 2020 and just sort of slow dribble leaks for us to find out all about these hidden, you know, I don't want to say obvious, but yeah, like literally obvious hidden clues of the fact that the Illuminati is not the highest degree. Far from it, in fact. They may be associated with the Roman Catholic Church and Italy and the mafia, and they may have access to money laundering, illegal gangs in Mexico and Latin America and other parts of the world. But as people will tell you, the Illuminati is not just one centralized, and the Catholic Church isn't either. It's not like being a Jew, how there's not just one type of Jew. There's not just one type of Illuminist. There's not just one type of Catholic. You know, they're not all gay. They're not all little boy bangers. And a lot of the good things have been said about the Catholic Church that are very true. You know, the amount of good that they have done has probably vastly outweighed all of the bad that has been done by them. And I would like to say the same for the experiment of the Americas and the experiment of Jerusalem. I had a lot of perceived hate for the persecution, I believe, from the stance that I was looking at, to be being carried out in the Middle East by quote unquote Zionists, secularist Israelites within the military and Mossad and elite special forces. And just as I've learned in these past few years in our own special forces, we have all of these different units that play these different roles, and the amount of friendly fire, the sacrificial nature of being in the service cannot be understated, which I think makes going into the service just that much more honorable, to know that you were an imperfect creature just trying to do your best to serve your part and your role in this ecosystem that we have. But anyway, I saw this book. It's called What Paul Meant by Garry Wills, and is author of What Jesus Meant and Why I Am a Catholic. And I would like to give it a shout out to Milo Yiannopoulos for opening my mind to sort of the possibility, and also the militant church group or the Militant Church. You can look them up on YouTube or on others, and it's a lot of people that may or may not have been gay that have changed their tune and found a higher light. But yeah, and I can read this thing here. I can just show you for a second. Let me switch. Here's the book, and you can pause this. I could probably read it too. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stars. All through history, Christians have debated Paul's influence on the church. Though revered, Paul has also been a stone which many stumble. Writings attributed to Peter and James charged Paul in the 2nd century of being a tool of Satan. In later centuries, Paul became a target of ridicule for writers such as Thomas Jefferson, the first corrupter, George Bernard Shaw, a monstrous imposition, and Nietzsche, the disangelus. However, as Garry well argues eloquently in his masterly analysis, what Paul meant was not something contrary to what Jesus meant. Rather, the best way to know Jesus is to discover Paul. Unlike gospel writers who carefully shaped their narratives many decades after Jesus' life, Paul wrote in the heat of the moment, managing controversy and sometimes contradicting himself, but at the same time offering the best reflection of those early times. Paul did not meet Jesus when he lived, but his personal encounter with the risen Jesus turned this zealous adherent of the Jewish law and persecutor of the followers of Jesus into a believer. That I proclaim him to the nations, Paul went on to travel tirelessly and courageously from city to city, an amazing feat of endurance, meeting with believers and sharing Jesus' message. Paul's own experience thus becomes the story of how the followers of Jesus reconciled their Jewish faith with the coming of the Messiah and the meaning for their lives, and how women became leaders and partners with Paul in his work. At a time when the public debate is fierce over how to live a godly life, Wills provides a fascinating discussion of how the early followers faced divisive issues, how they struggled to find a way to move forward together, and especially how Paul, in the midst of controversy that ultimately cost him his life, galvanized a movement by continuing to emphasize Jesus' teaching, as Will says, that the worship of God is a matter of interior love, not based on external observances, on temples or churches, or on hierarchies or priesthoods. Both were at odds with those who imposed the burdens of religion, and punished those who tried to escape them. Paul meant what Jesus meant, that love is the only law. What Paul meant is a stellar interpretation of Paul's writings, examining his tremendous influence on the first explosion of Christian belief and chronicling the controversy surrounding Paul throughout the centuries. You can see some of his other works, St. Augustine, Penguin Lives, St. Augustine's Childhood, St. Augustine's Memory, St. Augustine's Sin, St. Augustine's Conversion, the Rosary, What Jesus Meant, what Paul meant. And here's some copyright information, some addresses of publishers, and addresses, and ISBN numbers, and some of you cryptics or math guys might, get a kick out of some of that stuff. I'm finding it might be better to keep some of what we know to ourselves in terms of what numbers mean and all of that. Well, I'm not going to go much farther with this other than, how obviously similar we find ourselves in times today, and just the names that get chosen for us. Thank God to our fathers who gave us our names and spent the due diligent time that they did to keep secret what they could, and so cleverly, covet or I don't know how they did what they did, but they did. And now here we are today. But I find the fact that he was a Jewish prosecutor himself, angry with Christians and who were Catholic at the time, more or less, in the 2nd century. That was the beginning of the Catholic Church. And also as a Jewish prophet, or I'm forgetting the names for it, but as a Kabbalistic teacher, student, or as a Jew trying to relate the significance of the Moshiach and Messiah and all of that, and to incorporate Jesus' teachings of that, and to not make jokes out of things like Jews for Jesus, or Mormonism, or Messianic Jews and things of this, to not let these or certain sects of Muslims, because basically the way the story has gone, everyone that has been able to connect these dots has been hunted down and slaughtered and destroyed throughout history, because of the power that holds within the people. Ask, was Jesus a Muslim? Was Jesus a Jew? Was Jesus a Christian? What was Jesus? Was he a Satanist? Whatever. What does Judaism mean? What are Jews and what are Catholics? Like, are Jews evil? Blah blah blah. What is Israel? What is Palestine? What is the West Bank? What is the Middle East? What is Egypt? What is Saudi Arabia? What is the OPEC and North Africa? What happened in Germany? What happened in history? Whatever. What is Spanish Inquisition? Whatever. The idea that all pagans, the Native Americans and the Indians of all these different cultures, the shamans of Africa and the Americas and the Asias were considered Jews. I just hope that we can do better this time and that people can be strong enough to believe in what they feel like they have a right to believe in and have a right to know, and be understanding that God is not perfect and that God is in each and every one of us. And I'll probably be sharing some more of this book. I think it's pretty interesting how the idea of paganism and Judaism and witchcraft and the occult and how Paul was able to work with women who were probably being exalted in some ways, but also highly manipulated and used in other ways, and treated like slaves, so not given the respect they deserve. A lot of ways, some kind of caste system of prostitution and hoes. But so I find myself in a similar boat, trying to relate with you ladies and trying to be your champion. And if you don't want to believe in God, that's perfectly fine. And if you don't want to learn, you don't want enlightenment, that's perfectly fine too. I would just hope that you could have some trust in wanting to think that there are some people who really do want what's best for you out there. And that goes for African Americans and Native Americans, everyone alike. Alright, I'm running out of minutes here. I see it flashing, so I'm going to let it go. I love you guys.